The rain poured heavily, drenching the empty streets of the city. The sound of thunder echoed in the distance as the millionaire drove his car slowly, his mind lost in thoughts of his late son. It had been 5 years since the accident, but the pain still felt fresh. He missed the laughter, the small moments, and the warmth of his child's presence. Life had given him wealth, but it couldn't fill the void in his heart. As he turned the corner, his headlights caught something unusual. A small figure stood under a flickering street lamp, soaked from head to toe. The millionaire slowed down, his heart skipping a beat. The boy looked exactly like his son, the same face, the same hair, even the same way he stood. It was impossible, but there he was, crying in the rain. The millionaire pulled over, his hands trembling as he stepped out of the car. "Hey," he called out, his voice shaky. The boy turned to look at him, and for a moment, their eyes met. The millionaire felt a surge of emotions, hope, confusion, and fear. But before he could say anything, the boy turned and ran into the dark alley. "Wait," the millionaire shouted, chasing after him. But the boy was fast, disappearing into the shadows. The millionaire stopped, panting, his heart racing. He looked down and noticed something glinting on the wet pavement. It was a small pendant, glowing faintly in the dark. He picked it up, feeling a strange warmth in his hand. The pendant was unlike anything he had ever seen. It had intricate designs, almost alien, and a faint hum seemed to come from it. The millionaire stared at it, his mind racing with questions. Who was that boy? Why did he look so much like his son? And what was this pendant? He clenched the pendant in his hand, determination filling his heart. He didn't know how or why, but he was going to find that boy. Something inside him told him this wasn't just a coincidence. There was a mystery here, and he was going to solve it, no matter what it took. As he walked back to his car, the rain continued to fall, but the millionaire barely noticed. His mind was focused on one thing, finding the boy who looked just like his son. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change his life forever. The millionaire sat in his study, the glowing pendant resting on his desk. He had spent hours examining it, but it made no sense. The designs were unlike anything he had ever seen, and the faint hum it emitted was both soothing and unsettling. He couldn't shake the feeling that this pendant was the key to finding the boy. He picked up his phone and called his assistant. "I need you to find someone for me," he said, his voice firm. "A boy, about 10 years old, looks exactly like my son. He was last seen near Elm Street last night. Use all our resources, security cameras, private investigators, everything. I need to find him." Over the next few days, the millionaire threw himself into the search. He reviewed footage from security cameras, spoke to witnesses, and even offered a reward for information. But every lead turned into a dead end. It was as if the boy had vanished into thin air. Frustrated and exhausted, the millionaire began to notice strange things happening around him. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and he often felt like he was being watched. At night, he dreamed of his son, dreams so vivid they felt real. In one dream, his son reached out to him, saying, "Dad, I'm still here. Find me." One evening, as he sat alone in his study, he received a message on his phone. It was from an unknown number, and it simply said, "If you want to see him again, follow the light." The millionaire's heart raced as he read the message. He quickly tried to trace the number, but it was untraceable. He looked at the pendant on his desk, which was glowing brighter than ever. Was this the light the message was referring to? Determined to find answers, he decided to follow the pendant's glow. He stepped out of his house and into the night, holding the pendant in his hand. It pulsed with a soft light, guiding him through the empty streets. He didn't know where he was going, but he trusted the pendant to lead him to the boy. After walking for what felt like hours, he found himself in an abandoned part of the city. The buildings were old and crumbling, and the streets were eerily quiet. The pendant's glow grew brighter as he approached a large, rusted gate. Behind it was an old factory, its windows dark and broken. The millionaire hesitated for a moment, but the thought of the boy gave him courage. He pushed the gate open and stepped inside. The factory was vast and empty, with only the sound of dripping water breaking the silence. The pendant's glow illuminated his path as he walked deeper into the building. Suddenly, he heard a faint sound, a child's voice, calling out. "Hello? Is anyone there?" The millionaire's heart leaped. It was the boy's voice. He followed the sound, his footsteps echoing in the empty space. As he turned a corner, he saw the boy standing in the middle of the room, his face pale and his eyes wide with fear. "It's okay," the millionaire said softly, taking a step closer. "I'm here to help you." But before he could reach the boy, the ground beneath him shook violently. The walls of the factory began to collapse, and a bright light filled the room. The millionaire shielded his eyes, his mind racing. What was happening? When the light faded, the boy was gone. The millionaire stood alone in the ruined factory, the pendant in his hand glowing faintly. He didn't understand what had just happened, but one thing was clear: this was far bigger than he had imagined. The millionaire stood in the ruined factory, his mind racing. The boy had vanished right before his eyes, and the pendant in his hand was now glowing faintly, as if guiding him to the next step. He knew he couldn't stop now, not when he was so close to finding answers. As he walked through the factory, he noticed something strange. The walls, which had seemed old and crumbling, now revealed hidden panels and symbols that glowed faintly under the pendant's light. He pressed his hand against one of the panels, and to his surprise, it slid open, revealing a hidden elevator. The millionaire hesitated for a moment, but his determination pushed him forward. He stepped inside the elevator, and the doors closed behind him. The pendant's glow intensified as the elevator descended deeper into the ground. He had no idea where he was going, but he trusted the pendant to lead him to the truth. When the elevator doors opened, he found himself in a vast underground facility. The walls were made of sleek metal, and the air was filled with the hum of machines. Scientists in white coats moved about, their faces focused and serious. The millionaire's heart pounded as he realized he had stumbled upon something far beyond his understanding. He moved cautiously through the facility, staying in the shadows to avoid being seen. The pendant's glow dimmed, as if it knew he needed to remain hidden. As he explored, he overheard snippets of conversations that sent chills down his spine. "The subject is unstable," one scientist said. "We need to stabilize his memories before the next phase." "The alternate reality experiments are showing promise," another said. "But we need more data." The millionaire's mind raced. Alternate realities? Unstable subjects? What were they talking about? And how did the boy fit into all of this? He continued to move through the facility, his heart pounding with every step. Finally, he reached a large room with a glass wall. Inside, he saw the boy, his son's double, lying on a bed, surrounded by machines. His eyes were closed, and his face was pale. The millionaire's heart ached at the sight. Before he could do anything, a voice behind him said, "You shouldn't be here." The millionaire turned to see a tall man in a white coat, his expression stern. "Who are you?" the millionaire demanded, his voice shaking. "I'm Dr. Harris," the man said. "And you've stumbled into something far beyond your understanding. That boy you're so interested in, he's not what you think he is." "What do you mean?" the millionaire asked, his voice rising. "Who is he? Why does he look exactly like my son?" Dr. Harris sighed, as if deciding how much to reveal. "He's a clone," he said finally. "Created from your son's DNA. But the experiment didn't go as planned. His memories are fragmented, and his existence is unstable." The millionaire felt a wave of emotions, anger, confusion, and a glimmer of hope. A clone? How is that even possible? And why would you do this? We're exploring the boundaries of science, Dr. Harris said. Cloning, alternate realities, the nature of existence itself. But sometimes, things don't go as planned. That boy is one of those things. The millionaire clenched his fists, his mind racing. I don't care about your experiments. That boy is my son, or at least, he's a part of him. I'm taking him out of here. Dr. Harris shook his head. It's not that simple. He's connected to the machines here. If you take him away, he might not survive. And even if he does, his memories are incomplete. He won't remember you. The millionaire's heart sank, but he refused to give up. There has to be a way. I'm not leaving without him. Dr. Harris studied him for a moment, then said, there might be a way. But it's dangerous, and it could cost you everything. Are you willing to take that risk? The millionaire didn't hesitate. Yes. Whatever it takes. Dr. Harris nodded slowly. Then follow me. But be warned, once you see the truth, there's no going back. The millionaire followed Dr. Harris through the labyrinthine corridors of the underground facility. The walls were lined with screens displaying complex data, and the air was filled with the faint hum of machinery. His mind was a whirlwind of emotions, hope, fear, and a burning desire to understand the truth. Finally, they reached a large, dimly lit room filled with monitors and control panels. In the center of the room was a massive machine, its surface covered in glowing symbols similar to those on the pendant. The millionaire's eyes widened as he realized the pendant and the machine were connected. What is this place? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Harris gestured to the machine. This is the heart of our operations. It's a device capable of manipulating reality itself, creating clones, accessing alternate dimensions, and even merging memories. The boy you saw is one of our experiments, but he's different. Different how? The millionaire demanded, his voice rising. What did you do to him? Dr. Harris hesitated, then said, we used your son's DNA to create him, but something went wrong during the process. Instead of being a perfect clone, he became a bridge between realities. His memories are a mix of your son's life and fragments from other dimensions. That's why he doesn't fully recognize you. He's not just your son. He's something more. The millionaire felt a lump in his throat. You're telling me he's not really my son? He is, and he isn't, Dr. Harris replied. He carries your son's essence, but he's also connected to other versions of himself from different realities. That's why he's unstable. His mind can't handle the conflicting memories. The millionaire's hands clenched into fists. You had no right to do this. He's just a child. We were trying to push the boundaries of science, Dr. Harris said defensively. To understand the nature of existence. But you're right, we underestimated the consequences. That's why we've been trying to stabilize him. If we can't, he'll fade away. The millionaire's heart sank. Fade away? What do you mean? His existence is tied to this machine, Dr. Harris explained. If we disconnect him, his fragmented memories will collapse, and he'll cease to exist. But if we keep him connected, he'll remain trapped here, never truly alive. The millionaire stared at the machine, his mind racing. He couldn't let the boy suffer, but he also couldn't bear the thought of losing him again. There has to be another way, he said firmly. I won't let him die, and I won't let him stay here like a prisoner. Dr. Harris sighed. There is one possibility, but it's risky. We could try to merge his fragmented memories into a single, stable consciousness. It would give him a chance to live a normal life, but it could also erase parts of who he is. And there's no guarantee it will work. The millionaire's heart ached at the thought of losing even a part of the boy, but he knew it was the only way to save him. Do it, he said, his voice steady. I'll take that risk. Dr. Harris nodded. Very well. But you should know, once we start the process, there's no turning back. And you'll need to be there with him. Your presence might help anchor his memories. The millionaire didn't hesitate. I'll do whatever it takes. As they prepared for the procedure, the millionaire couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of something far bigger than himself. He didn't fully understand the science or the consequences, but he knew one thing for certain: he would do anything to save the boy who carried his son's essence. When the procedure began, the room was filled with a blinding light. The millionaire held the boy's hand, whispering words of comfort as the machines hummed around them. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to face it, for the boy, for his son, and for the chance to make things right. The procedure was over, but the millionaire's heart was still racing. The boy lay on the bed, his eyes closed and his breathing steady. The machines around him beeped softly, monitoring his vital signs. Dr. Harris had warned that it might take time for the boy to wake up, and even longer for his memories to stabilize. The millionaire sat by the boy's side, holding his small hand. He couldn't help but notice how much the boy looked like his son, the same soft features, the same way his hair fell across his forehead. It was both comforting and heartbreaking. Hours passed, and the millionaire stayed by the boy's side, refusing to leave. He talked to him softly, telling him stories about his son, how he loved playing in the park, how he always laughed at silly jokes, and how much he was missed. He didn't know if the boy could hear him, but it felt important to keep talking. Finally, the boy's eyes fluttered open. He looked around the room, his expression confused and scared. When his eyes landed on the millionaire, he frowned. Who are you?" he asked, his voice weak. The millionaire's heart ached, but he forced a gentle smile. "I'm someone who cares about you," he said. "You're safe now. Everything's going to be okay." The boy stared at him for a moment, then looked down at his hands. "I don't remember anything. It's all fuzzy." "That's okay," the millionaire said softly. "You don't have to remember everything right now. Just take your time." Over the next few days, the millionaire spent every moment with the boy. He brought him books to read, played simple games with him, and tried to make him feel comfortable. Slowly, the boy began to open up. He started to smile more, and his confusion seemed to lessen. One afternoon, as they sat together in the facility's small garden, the boy looked at the millionaire and said, "You feel familiar. Like I've known you before." The millionaire's heart leaped. "Maybe you have," he said gently. "Do you remember anything else?" The boy frowned, thinking hard. "I remember rain. And being scared. And then, you were there." The millionaire nodded, his eyes filling with tears. "That's right. I found you in the rain. I've been looking for you ever since." The boy tilted his head, studying him. "Why? Why do you care so much?" The millionaire took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "Because you remind me of someone very special to me. Someone I lost a long time ago. And when I saw you, I knew I had to help you." The boy seemed to think about this, then nodded slowly. "I think I like being with you. It feels safe." The millionaire smiled, his heart swelling with hope. "I'm glad. I want you to feel safe." As the days went by, their bond grew stronger. The boy started to remember small things, fragments of his past life, moments that felt familiar but distant. He would sometimes talk about places he had never been or people he had never met, and the millionaire realized these were memories from other realities, bleeding into his consciousness. One night, as they sat together watching the stars through a window, the boy turned to the millionaire and said, "Do you think I'll ever remember everything?" The millionaire hesitated, then said, "I don't know. But even if you don't, it's okay. What matters is who you are now, and the memories we're making together." The boy smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. "I like that. making new memories. But their peace was short-lived. One morning, the millionaire woke up to find the boy's bed empty. Panic surged through him as he searched the room, calling out his name. Dr. Harris rushed in, his face pale. "He's gone," the millionaire said, his voice shaking. "Where is he?" Dr. Harris looked grim. "We don't know. But there's something you need to see." He led the millionaire to a monitor showing security footage. The video showed the boy wandering the facility in the middle of the night, his eyes glowing faintly. He walked into a room the millionaire had never seen before, and then the footage cut out. "What does this mean?" the millionaire demanded. "It means his connection to the other realities is stronger than we thought," Dr. Harris said. "He might have been drawn to something, or someone, from another dimension." The millionaire's heart sank. "We have to find him. Now." The millionaire and Dr. Harris rushed through the facility, following the faint trail of the boy's presence. The pendant around the millionaire's neck glowed brighter as they moved, guiding them through the maze of corridors. The air was tense, and the hum of the machine seemed to grow louder with every step. "Where could he have gone?" the millionaire asked, his voice tight with worry. "There's a room we use for cross-dimensional experiments," Dr. Harris explained. "If he's been drawn to another reality, that's where he'd be." As they approached the room, the millionaire noticed strange energy pulses emanating from the door. The pendant's glow intensified, and he felt a strange pull, as if the room itself was alive. Dr. Harris typed a code into the keypad, and the door slid open with a hiss. Inside, the room was filled with swirling lights and shifting shadows. In the center stood the boy, his eyes glowing faintly as he stared at a large, shimmering portal. The portal pulsed with energy, and faint images of other worlds flickered within it, forests, cities, and landscapes that looked both familiar and alien. "Stay back," Dr. Harris warned. "The portal is unstable. If he steps through, we might never get him back." The millionaire's heart raced as he called out to the boy. "Hey! It's me. Please, come back. You're not safe here." The boy turned to look at him, his expression blank. I can hear them," he said softly. "They're calling me." "Who's calling you?" the millionaire asked, taking a cautious step forward. "The others," the boy replied. "The other versions of me. They want me to join them." The millionaire's stomach churned. He didn't fully understand what was happening, but he knew he couldn't let the boy disappear into the portal. "You don't have to go," he said, his voice pleading. "You belong here, with me. We're making new memories, remember?" The boy hesitated, his glowing eyes flickering. For a moment, it seemed like he might step away from the portal. But then, a shadowy figure emerged from the swirling light, reaching out to the boy. "Come with us," the figure whispered, its voice echoing unnaturally. "You're one of us." The millionaire's heart pounded as he realized the figure looked exactly like the boy, but older, darker, and more menacing. It was another version of him, from a different reality. "No!" the millionaire shouted, rushing forward. He grabbed the boy's hand, pulling him away from the portal. The shadowy figure hissed, its form flickering as the portal's energy surged. Dr. Harris quickly activated a control panel, trying to stabilize the portal. "We need to close it before it collapses," he yelled. "Hold on to the boy." The millionaire held the boy tightly, shielding him from the portal's pull. The shadowy figure lunged at them, but the millionaire stood his ground, refusing to let go. The room shook violently as the portal began to collapse, the energy pulses growing more intense. "It's going to blow," Dr. Harris warned. "We need to get out of here." The millionaire scooped the boy into his arms and ran toward the door, Dr. Harris close behind. As they reached the corridor, a blinding light filled the room, followed by a deafening explosion. The force knocked them off their feet, and the millionaire instinctively curled around the boy to protect him. When the light faded, the room was in ruins. The portal was gone, and the air was thick with smoke. The millionaire coughed, his ears ringing as he checked on the boy. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice hoarse. The boy nodded, his eyes no longer glowing. I remember now," he said softly. "You're the one who saved me." The millionaire's heart swelled with relief. "I'll always save you," he said, holding the boy close. Dr. Harris approached, looking shaken but relieved. "We need to get out of here," he said. "The facility's systems are failing. It's not safe." The millionaire nodded, helping the boy to his feet. As they made their way through the crumbling facility, the millionaire couldn't shake the feeling that they had narrowly escaped something far more dangerous than they realized. But for now, all that mattered was that the boy was safe. The millionaire, the boy, and Dr. Harris hurried through the crumbling facility, the walls shaking as the systems began to fail. Alarms blared, and sparks flew from broken panels. The air was thick with tension, and the millionaire's grip on the boy's hand tightened as they navigated the chaos. "We need to get to the surface," Dr. Harris said, leading the way. "The entire facility is destabilizing. If we don't leave now, we'll be trapped." The boy stumbled, his face pale and his breathing shallow. The millionaire stopped, crouching down to check on him. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. I don't feel good," the boy whispered. "It's like something's pulling me." Dr. Harris turned back, his expression grim. "It's the machine. He's still connected to it. If we don't sever the connection, he won't survive." The millionaire's heart sank. "What do you mean? How do we sever it?" "We have to go back," Dr. Harris said reluctantly. "The machine is in the central chamber. But it's dangerous, the facility could collapse at any moment." The millionaire looked at the boy, who was trembling in his arms. He knew there was no other choice. "Take us there," he said firmly. "We're not leaving him like this." Dr. Harris hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." They retraced their steps, moving deeper into the facility. The closer they got to the central chamber, the weaker the boy became. By the time they reached the massive machine, he could barely stand. The machine pulsed with a faint light, its surface covered in the same glowing symbols as the pendant. The millionaire stared at it, his mind racing. "How do we stop it?" he asked. "We have to destroy the core," Dr. Harris explained. "But it's not that simple. The machine is tied to the boy's existence. If we destroy it, his memories might be erased, or worse, he might not survive." The millionaire's heart ached at the thought. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," Dr. Harris said softly. "I'm sorry. It's the only way to save him." The boy looked up at the millionaire, his eyes filled with fear. "I don't want to forget," he whispered. "I don't want to lose you." The millionaire knelt down, holding the boy's face in his hands. "You won't lose me," he said, his voice breaking. "No matter what happens, I'll always be here for you. But we have to do this to save you. Do you understand?" The boy nodded slowly, tears streaming down his face. "I'm scared." "I know," the millionaire said, pulling him into a tight hug. "But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Dr. Harris approached the machine, his hands trembling as he input a series of commands. "I've set the machine to self-destruct," he said. "But we need to leave now. The explosion will take out the entire facility." The millionaire stood, lifting the boy into his arms. "Let's go." They ran through the facility, the walls shaking violently as the machine's core began to destabilize. The boy clung to the millionaire, his small hands gripping his shirt. The millionaire's heart pounded with every step, his mind filled with fear and determination. As they reached the elevator, the ground beneath them shook, and a loud explosion echoed through the facility. The elevator doors closed just as a wave of heat and debris rushed toward them. The millionaire held the boy tightly, shielding him as the elevator ascended. When the doors opened, they stumbled out into the night air. The facility behind them collapsed in a massive explosion, sending a plume of smoke and fire into the sky. The millionaire fell to his knees, holding the boy close as the ground trembled beneath them. When the dust settled, the boy looked up at the millionaire, his eyes wide and confused. Who are you?" he asked, his voice weak. The millionaire's heart broke, but he forced a gentle smile. "I'm someone who cares about you," he said. "And I'm going to help you, no matter what." The boy frowned, as if trying to remember something, but the memories were gone. The millionaire held him tightly, tears streaming down his face. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew one thing for certain: he would do whatever it took to help the boy, even if it meant starting over. The millionaire sat by the boy's bedside in a small, quiet room far from the ruins of the facility. The boy was asleep, his face peaceful but unfamiliar in its blankness. The memories they had built together were gone, erased when the machine was destroyed. The millionaire felt a deep ache in his chest, but he refused to give up. He had come too far to let go now. Dr. Harris entered the room, his expression somber. "How is he?" he asked quietly. "He's resting," the millionaire replied, his voice heavy with emotion. "But he doesn't remember anything. Not me, not the facility, not even his own name." Dr. Harris sighed, sitting down across from him. "I warned you this might happen." The machine was tied to his existence. Destroying it was the only way to save him, but it came at a cost. The millionaire nodded, staring at the boy's face. "I know. And I don't regret it. But now, I don't know what to do. He's like a blank slate. How do I help him when he doesn't even know who I am?" Dr. Harris hesitated, then said, "There's still a chance he could recover some of his memories. The human mind is resilient. But it will take time, and patience. You'll have to start over, build a new relationship with him, one step at a time." The millionaire's heart ached at the thought. Starting over meant letting go of the hope that the boy would ever fully remember their bond. But it also meant a chance to create something new, something just as meaningful. "What if he never remembers?" the millionaire asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then you'll have to decide if you're willing to love him as he is," Dr. Harris said gently. "Not as a replacement for your son, but as his own person. It won't be easy, but it might be worth it." The millionaire sat in silence, his mind racing. He thought about the boy's smile, the way he had started to trust him, and the moments they had shared, however brief. He thought about his own grief, and how the boy had given him a sense of purpose when he needed it most. Finally, he looked at Dr. Harris and said, "I'll stay with him. No matter what." Dr. Harris nodded, a faint smile on his face. "Then you'll need a plan. A new life, away from all of this. Somewhere safe, where he can heal and grow." The millionaire agreed. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to face the challenges ahead. For the boy, and for himself. Over the next few weeks, the millionaire and the boy moved to a quiet countryside home, far from the chaos of the city. The boy was hesitant at first, unsure of his surroundings and the man who claimed to care for him. But slowly, he began to open up. The millionaire took things one day at a time. He taught the boy simple things: how to plant flowers, how to ride a bike, how to laugh at silly jokes. He didn't push him to remember, but instead focused on creating new memories, ones that were bright and full of hope. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, the boy turned to the millionaire and said, "You're always so kind to me." "Why?" The millionaire smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. "Because you're important to me," he said. "And because I want you to be happy." The boy frowned, as if trying to understand. "But I don't remember anything. Not even my name." That's okay, the millionaire said gently. You don't have to remember. What matters is who you are now, and the life we're building together. The boy nodded slowly, a small smile forming on his face. I like it here. It feels safe. The millionaire's eyes filled with tears. I'm glad. And no matter what happens, I'll always be here for you. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the millionaire felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but he was ready to walk it, for the boy, for his son, and for the chance to make things right. Months had passed since the millionaire and the boy moved to the countryside. Life was simpler now, filled with small joys and quiet moments. The boy had grown stronger, both physically and emotionally, and though his memories of the past were still gone, he had begun to carve out a new identity for himself. One sunny afternoon, the millionaire and the boy worked together in the garden, planting flowers and vegetables. The boy laughed as he accidentally spilled soil on his shoes, and the millionaire couldn't help but smile. It was moments like these that made everything worth it. As they sat on the grass, taking a break, the boy looked at the millionaire and said, "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," the millionaire replied, brushing dirt off his hands. "Why do you care so much about me?" the boy asked, his voice soft but curious. "I mean, I know you say I'm important to you, but why?" The millionaire took a deep breath, his heart swelling with emotion. It was a question he had been waiting for, and one he had thought about often. "Because," he began, "you remind me of someone I loved very much. Someone I lost a long time ago. But more than that, you've become someone important to me in your own way. You're not just a memory of the past, you're a part of my present, and my future." The boy tilted his head, thinking about this. "Do you think I'll ever remember who I was before?" The millionaire hesitated, then shook his head. "I don't know. But what matters is who you are now. And who you choose to be. Memories are important, but they don't define us. It's our actions, our choices, and the love we share that truly matter." The boy nodded slowly, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I like that," he said. "I like being here with you. It feels like home." The millionaire's eyes filled with tears, but he smiled. "You feel like home to me too." As the days turned into weeks, the boy continued to grow and thrive. He started attending a local school, where he made friends and discovered new interests. The millionaire watched him with pride, marveling at how far they had come. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, the boy turned to the millionaire and said, "I think I want to choose a new name." The millionaire raised an eyebrow, surprised but curious. "Oh? What name do you have in mind?" The boy thought for a moment, then smiled. "How about Alex? I like the sound of it." The millionaire's heart warmed. "Alex," he repeated. "It's a strong name. It suits you." The boy, now Alex, grinned. "Thanks. And, thank you for everything. For taking care of me, for being patient, and for giving me a second chance." The millionaire reached out, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder. "You've given me a second chance too," he said. "You've shown me that it's never too late to start over, to love again, and to find joy in the simplest things." Alex leaned against him, and they sat in comfortable silence, the fire crackling softly in the background. The millionaire felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that they had both found what they needed, a new beginning, built on love, trust, and the courage to move forward. Epilogue. Years later, the millionaire and Alex stood on the porch of their countryside home, watching the sunset. Alex was now a young man, confident and full of life. Though he still didn't remember his past, he had created a future filled with hope and purpose. As they watched the sky turn shades of orange and pink, Alex turned to the millionaire and said, "You know, I may not remember where I came from, but I know where I belong. And that's all that matters." The millionaire smiled, his heart full. "You're right," he said.